Welcome, everyone. I'm so excited to host these spaces today because it's the day zero of a new life for Moonbeam. Moonbeam Ignite is the first step, or should I say, the first giant leap towards a thriving and exciting future. For those who don't know, Moonbeam Ignite is an 8-week initiative that aims to further ignite our network potential by fostering awareness, activity, and expanding the DeFi ecosystem of Moonbeam. We are in this exciting journey of discovery within the DeFi space, which is it's coming along. So why should you care? Why should you fearless explore the DeFi universe and be excited about? This campaign is your passport to the realm of limitless opportunities. Whether you're a seasoned DeFi enthusiast or a newcomer to this frontier, this campaign offers valuable knowledge and practical tools to navigate into the Moonbeam ecosystem. Each week will be dedicated to a specific topic where Moonbeam and the teams involved will carry out different actions and plans. So buckle up because it's going to be quite a ride. We have three grants recipients here. We have Jay representing Beamswap, and Beamswap, who those who don't know, is a decentralized exchange with automated market maker, providing liquidity in peer-to-peer transactions, and it's built on Moonbeam. And also they have BMX, which is the perpetuals exchange as well, which is pretty exciting. I'm definitely one of the users of BMX. Moonwell is represented here by Mijin. He's the community and communications lead for Luna Labs, the founding contributing team for Moonwell. And Moonwell is an open lending and borrowing protocol. Moonwell enables you to leverage what's yours by simplifying the lending and borrowing process. The protocol is pretty intuitive with a very good design that ensures a seamless user experience, enabling users to easily navigate through various features and perform operations effortlessly. And we have BP here, co-founder of Gamma, that just launched on Moonbeam. So that's very exciting. Gamma is a protocol designed for non-custodial, automated, and active management of concentrated liquidity. And Gamma's protocol is accessible from a web application. It's very easy to access. Gamma's key feature is the Vault. A Vault is a non-custodial position manager contract that can manage a liquidity pool with the strategies. Gamma also features an analytics suite to assist users in evaluating their position. As I said, this is going to be like an 8-week campaign, and each week we're going to have different themes from USDC that came along to cross-chain protocols and way more. So I guess in this point in time, I would like to pass, the microphone to the team so they can give a quick introduction. I would love to hear a little bit more. Maybe BP, you can start with Gamma's proposal. I would love to hear a little bit more about what you guys are doing. You applied for the ecosystem grant and you were granted with a grant amount for Glimmers. I would love to know what to expect in this 8 week, and just quick introduction, Gamma, to the Moonbeam ecosystem.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah, so I'm BP from Gamma. I'm the co-founder at Gamma Strategies, and back a few months ago, we submitted a proposal to the Moonbeam Foundation. The main thing was to launch and integrate our strategies on the Moonbeam ecosystem. We had a back-end integration with Beamswap initially, but uh, through this Moonbeam Grant Ignite program, we've also launched on StellaSwap, and we have an integration with Uniswap on Moonbeam as well through their backend contracts. So essentially, we're providing active liquidity management for these liquidity positions where we're managing liquidity within a tight range and actively managing that so that the current market price stays within range, and we're providing deep liquidity and ensuring that the traders have decent price impact for like the major trade routes. So on Beamswap, we're incentivizing liquidity, concentrated liquidity for wrapped Glimmer USDC, and the USDC is wormhole wrapped USDC, which is the most prevalent one on the market. Right now, we also have DOT Glimmer on StellaSwap, and we're also doing ETH Glimmer on Uniswap. So right now, we're working on getting the DEX aggregators to recognize the Uniswap ETH Glimmer route, but pretty much our rationale for these three pairs is that Glimmer USDC is probably one of the major trade routes in the ecosystem. And so that's why we're incentivizing on Beamswap. Glimmer StellaSwap has like a pretty commanding lead in terms of getting trade volume for that specific pair. So we decided to incentivize StellaSwap for that. And for ETH Glimmer, it's relatively new, but I think for an Ignite campaign, it may be good to incentivize people from the ETH ecosystem. There's a lot of potential liquidity providers there, and by providing ETH Glimmer, you make a better trade environment or a better bridging experience for people to bridge their ETH over to Glimmer or over to Moonbeam and participate in the Moonbeam Ignite campaign. So yeah, that's in a nutshell what our campaign is, and happy to answer any questions throughout this Twitter Spaces. Thank you.
Well, do. Thank you, VP. Yeah, that was yeah. I mean, I'm looking forward to it. Maybe Jay, can you speak a little bit about Beamswap, the plan, what to expect in the next 8 weeks?
Yeah. Hey, Tiago. Good to connect with everybody here. Good to connect with the Moonbeam community, and just wanted to say, one, it's an amazing opportunity to be part of the Moonbeam Ignite program. We at Beamswap are very excited to one, help in usher a whole new era for the DeFi ecosystem on Moonbeam Network, as well as the rest of the entire ecosystem. I think it's important for us to all connect and really band together to really help usher in this new wave. But a little bit about Beamswap. We've been a DEX on the Moonbeam Network since the very, very early days. But what we're looking to do is we're looking to really elevate the user experience and really help one, make it easier for users to trade, but also open up new opportunities for new market of users with things like perpetuals on BeamX, which will really usher in an entire new market for users, as well as incentivizing things for our V3 concentrated liquidity, making things more efficient for users to trade and swap. And then there's also other things from bringing on some of the amazing partners that we've had, from active liquidity management for Gamma Strategies, helping make the process easier for users for things like V3 concentrated liquidity, in which requires highly active management, which Gamma helps make that process easier for users. But in addition, we want to also make sure that we're making it easier for users to also opt into the ecosystem with things like XCM native transfers, which are powered by Moonbeam's SDK, as well as cross-chain swaps powered by Squid, which connects for an array of chains from anything from Arbitrum to Cosmos, Ethereum, BNB, and many more. But yeah, so we're really looking to really bring in a new market of users with our new features. So we're really excited, and we're looking forward to working with Moonwell, Gamma Strategies, and everybody else to help connect everybody to the greater Paraverse.
That's really cool. That's really cool, man. Maybe Majian, you can touch base and talk a little bit more about Moonwell and what to expect in these next few weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. Can y'all hear me okay?
Yep.
Thank you for the intro, Tiago, and thank you, Beamswap, or Jay and BP, for letting us know a little bit about Beamswap and Gamma and y'all's plans. I'm Eli, or Majin, as I'm better known in the Moonbeam and Moonwell communities. I'm part of, like Tiago mentioned, I'm part of the Lunar Labs team, which is the founding contributing team to Moonwell. For those of y'all that don't know, Moonwell is an open lending and borrowing protocol or app. Moonwell enables users to do more with their digital assets by supplying or lending those assets to Moonwell to receive rewards like Moonbeam Ignite Glimmer rewards and an interest rate that comes from the borrowers on the app. And additionally, you can use those supplied assets as collateral to borrow additional assets. And if you haven't been to Moonwell in a while, we've completely revamped the app, and it's more than just a fresh coat of paint and a new logo. We're really focused on simplifying the overall experience, making DeFi more inclusive, less complex. I think these are very powerful tools, but they are all too often just kind of like shrouded in complexity and scary terms. So the Moonwell community is really on a mission to simplify the experience. We've also integrated governance into the app. We have cool things like a language switcher tool in the top right, where um, we're going to be able to translate the app into different languages, which is something you don't really see enough in Web3. Moonwell is also governed by our community of Well token holders, which is, Moonwell has the most active protocol governance in .sama, which is really exciting. And then finally, Moonwell is supported by a large cast of other contributing teams besides Lunar Labs. So you have Gauntlet and Warden on the risk management side, Halborn on security, Vector DAO, who we can thank for this beautiful new brand identity and app. Yeah, that's a little bit about Moonwell. I do want to say next, just a ginormous thank you to the Moonbeam community for supporting Moonwell through this grants process, making this campaign possible, really. And then another thank you to the grants committee. On the forums, the broader Moonbeam community did a fantastic job asking questions of these participating projects. But then really the grants committee came in and did that little bit of extra due diligence and just, asked some fantastic questions to all projects. So thank you guys for your hard work there. To talk a little bit about the grant. So 100% of the grant funds that Moonwell receives will be used to incentivize LPs. So that's liquidity providers, or a simplified term is just suppliers on Moonwell's Moonbeam deployment. And this isn't the Moonwell community's first grant that it's received. So in the original Moonbeam Ignite, which was around this time last year, a little later in the fall, that campaign and that grant was really focused on launching new markets. So we had Wormhole coming in, and all those associated assets. We also had XCUSDT, a native stablecoin, and the Moonwell community was able to really bootstrap these new markets, thanks in large part to that grant funding. The Moonwell community was also able to extend that grant runway from the original 6 months to 9 months, which meant that the Moonwell community didn't have a need to participate in Tranche 1 grant funding, opening the door for awesome projects like DAM, like Prime Protocol to receive grants in the spring. Focusing in on this specific grant and this new 2023 version of Moonbeam Ignite, this grant is really focused, the Moonwell community is really focused on doubling down on growth and adoption in these now established markets, one, and then two, making sure the Moonwell community has the resources they need to onboard and incentivize new assets like native USDC, which we're all super stoked about. Like these new liquid stake tokens that you see coming online from teams like StellaSwap and Binance. And in that respect, this grant is like super timely, right? Because like I mentioned, you have the launch native USDC, you have these liquid stake tokens coming online, but you also have this massive dot unlock here coming up next month, I believe. And this is just a fantastic opportunity for Moonwell and then Moonbeam in general to soak up some of this unlock dot and TVL growth, right? And really make Moonbeam an attractive destination for dot holders. I could keep rambling, but I feel like I've spoken more than the others, so I'll kind of cut it there for now. But just thank you guys again for thank you to the whole Moonbeam community, and thank you to Tiago and team for putting this together.
Absolutely. And one thing that I think is pretty cool is the connections, between those three teams. We see Beamswap, and Gamma working together, and then providing, the tools for Moonwell. And I guess like when we see like all those connections coming along, that's when we actually leverage the Web3 opportunity, right? I think this is what DeFi is about. It's about generating not one product, but several different products with several different teams. But since we are all tokenized and all synced and all done through smart contracts, we're able to interact with one another, lifting, right, and leveraging each one of them in a good way of like giving more opportunities to the overall community. I would love to have BP speaking a little bit more about, like this, coming to Moonbeam, this introduction. It's basically your first day, the first 24 hours that you've been live on Moonbeam. So I'd love to hear a little bit more about you, within this 8 weeks, what to expect. Maybe you can share a little bit like the link or some, some actions here to the community, to visit and just follow along.
Yeah, so I think for the next 8 weeks, this program and our incentive program is actually set to go for 5 weeks, but or 5 months, but we are also, giving out weekly updates on the positions themselves. So basically, for certain positions where it's a little bit undercapitalized at the moment, like ETH Glimmer, we're just putting in a full range position at the moment, but as soon as more liquidity starts to come in, we'll be concentrating that very soon. So typically with newer positions, we like to full range the position just to ensure that the price doesn't go out of range, ensure like stability of maintaining both sides of the liquidity position. Because the danger with going too narrow and there's too much volatility is you could get single-sided very, very quickly. So typically when new pools start up, it's best to start up with full range liquidity. But we'll be monitoring the positions as time goes and seeing what volumes are flowing through our pools. We have all that data available. So throughout the next 8 weeks, I think it's going to be continuing to monitor, making sure the RPCs are running. I know recently there's been a lot of activity on the Moonbeam ecosystem just in general. The gas price, and those of you who've been paying attention, you might have noticed that the gas prices are increasing, but it also could potentially lead to some of the infrastructure like RPCs might be a little bit slower. So we're just continuing to monitor those things and making sure everything is good to go. So and happy to get anybody's feedback, in the ecosystem. Just feel free to come into our Discord if you have any questions. Or I know there were some initial questions when we first got started, but I think we're starting to, clear up a lot of those initial concerns, maybe initial confusions, and hopefully we can onboard a lot more liquidity there.
That's great to hear. That's great to hear. Maybe, Majin, we can hear from you a little bit about this user experience, right? Like, I feel like the three teams here and the three products, when you get into the website, when you get into the DApp and you try to interact, like comparing this experience to what we had like 1 year ago, I feel it's completely different, like for all teams here, because 1 year ago or more, you have to be like a DeFi degen, right? To know what you're doing, providing liquidity, all the stuff, doing the swaps, knowing the APYs and like retrieving all this experience. And I feel like the three teams here, like they are working constantly on improving this user experience and making it easier, making it more accessible, making DeFi more, accessible to everybody. I know that you guys been working pretty hard to improve even more this experience. Could you touch base on the importance of the user experience and how Moonwell, actually worked, to improve this part?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're exactly right, Tiago. So the original Moonwell app, I really loved it. It was beautiful. It was, degen focused to an extent, right? Now though, on the new Moonwell app, you're greeted by a big start lending button. The first thing you see is getting started on Moonwell, and little tidbits on where to go to get started, supply your first USDC. We've toned down a lot of the old website. You were really inundated with lots of complex market information and terminology like collateral factors and stuff that's just it is it's good knowledge to have, but it is a little intimidating for your first for your non-DeFi native, not non-degen personas. The new Moonwell, it really is built to be intuitive, where you don't have to have this background in DeFi to really participate. You're just a few clicks away from supplying, from earning rewards and claiming those rewards. There's a brand new portfolio view which breaks down exactly how much you're supplying, how much you're borrowing, even terminology like health score we've used before. on the old app to determine or to show like how close you were getting to that liquidation level where you may be prone to liquidation. Now that terminology has changed to credit remaining, as that's just a more, intuitive kind of, people understand that more, that you see health score, you have to read in the docs about what that actually means. You see credit remaining, it means, I have this much more remaining that I can borrow. It's just a lot more intuitive. And then for accessibility, it is things like I mentioned, like, being able to translate the website into your preferred language. It's things like we've refreshed the docs to really and kind of changed our rhetoric overall and trying to get away from jargon heavy terminology and put it into terms that your everyday person could understand. Because at the end of the day, if we're going to onboard this next generation of on-chain users, right, they're not going to have all this information in their head right off the bat. Like, we need to speak to them directly, and it's those people really who can benefit the most from these powerful tools that DeFi offers. So it's a work in progress. It is a bit of a 180, but it's something that I think the Moonbeam community is very excited about. Thank you, Tiara.
Okay, and again, when Portuguese, sir?
So the Moonwell has quite a few developers that are Portuguese native speakers. So let's just say there's a good chance that will be the first language supported on Moonwell besides English.
Okay, yeah, I'm kidding, I'm joking. Jay, question for you. I'm very excited about BMAX. You guys been working very, very hard on these perpetuals, which, it's pretty amazing. I would love if you can, chime in and just talk a little bit more about adding new products, new solutions to Moonbeam and Polkadot, right, with perpetuals. Could you just give like a glance on the perpetuals and your thoughts about it, how it's improving our ecosystem? And yeah, I'll just, give you the microphone.
Hey, Tiago. Well, first I wanted to kind of backtrack and kind of talk more a little bit about elevating the user experience and, well, making it a lot easier for users to navigate in the ecosystem. As you stated already, like, from where we were at last year to where we're at now, just even in Moonbeam and Polkadot as a whole, it's vastly different. It's vastly different. We're starting to see a lot of things from parachains connected into Moonbeam to a lot of new projects coming online, and it's just really amazing. But one of the most important things is, like, what we're doing here, all of us, is also making sure that we're keeping the user in mind. And I think that's a beautiful thing, from where we have things like strategies provided from Gamma, or education and governance protocols from Moonbeam to Moonwell. So, like, part of the things that we're also trying to do even here at Beamswap is continue to make sure that we're educating users and kind of making it a little easier for people to opt in. And I think that's like a very, very, very critical thing that we can all that we're all doing in the space as we continue to push forward. But in terms of bringing the perpetuals to to Moonbeam and Polkadot, what we can see is that if you look at perpetuals just from centralized exchanges to some of the other DeFi ecosystems, like in Arbitrum, they're very popular, but they also bring in an entire new market of user outside from your traditional person looking to trade and do some arbitrage. But it also opens up for a lot of different opportunities for both small and large users to come into the space and really take advantage of some of these new DeFi opportunities that perpetuals allow.
Yeah, that's really cool. Now a question for BP. Like a lot of people is anxious about Uniswap, and I guess one of the pools that you guys have is Wrapped ETH and Glimmer, right? Can you tell us a little bit more about it and the current status of it?
Yeah, so yeah, in the last 24 hours, we got about 24K of liquidity in there. And the liquidity positions usually take about like 2 weeks to get to probably where they need to be. But yeah, that position right now is, so integrated directly with the Uniswap backend contracts, and the Uniswap front-end interface will be oku.trade. And from my understanding, it'll be released sometime soon as we get a little bit more liquidity in the position. But essentially, we're connected with the backend Uniswap contract. So if you go to the Gamma front end and provide liquidity there, it'll go directly into the Uniswap pool. There's certain things that we have to get ready, like I've been pretty active in reaching out to the DEX aggregators, BrainDex being I think the main one, in terms of recognizing that trade route. So hopefully the goal is to scale up to about, I would say, 50, 60, 70K liquidity, which I think we could certainly do within the next couple of weeks, and then we'll start concentrating the position, and then we'll have the DEX aggregators be able to recognize the route, and hopefully by that time we can GFX Labs, who's working on the front end for the Uniswap contracts via oku.trade, they'll be likely opening that up for people to make trades, make limit order swaps, and things of that nature. So yeah, that's pretty much the background on the Uniswap and oku.trade at the moment.
That's so exciting. That's so exciting, because if you think about it, Uniswap is live, with the lack of a front end yet, which is, it's coming. Gamma actually launched the first pool on Uniswap on Moonbeam. So that's a huge milestone, right? Like it's the first step, proving like Uniswap is here, all the contracts are here, and we are able to, tap into this Uniswap world as well. So that's really cool, really cool. BP, I have a couple of questions for you here. Let me just give me a second here to read the questions. 1 second. Okay, I guess like one good question here is if you can explain a little bit how, our users can set and then manage the liquidity range, for the users, or how do you guys actually do that for the users? Could you explain a little bit more about the process when it comes to, like?
Yeah. So I guess the question is like, how do we determine what ranges to use, what rebalance triggers to use? So yeah, that's a good question. So most of our positions, or in fact almost all of them, have been back tested, where we're determining what ranges to use, what rebalance triggers to use to determine what price impact we'll get on the trade, in addition to what the impermanent loss on the position will be over time. So based off that, we input certain parameters. Like the parameters will get updated every couple of weeks to see if there should be new parameters in terms of, and the parameters being the lower end of the range, the upper end of the range, and the rebalance trigger. The rebalance trigger is at what point from the current price at the last rebalance, at what percent of the distance does it go to the upside or the downside, will it trigger another rebalance? So those are the main parameters that we're optimizing for in our back tests, and we constantly reevaluate those over time. So I guess another question I believe is, does this change over time to become tighter? Typically no for like the pools that have been really active, but for that Uniswap pool, it definitely will, because we went full range on the Uniswap pool, as mentioned earlier, because it's a brand new pool. Brand new pools, we go full range just to make sure that the liquidity position is stabilized. We ensure that there's 50-50 of each asset in position, and as liquidity starts to build up, we can go tighter over time to decrease the price impact and increase potential volumes that go through the pool. So hopefully that answers the bulk of your question, and if you have more, happy to go more in depth as well.
No, absolutely. I guess I will go for each team right now and ask the same question, which is, how can the community engage, not only by going to the DApp and and adding the tokens to the pools or the projects that you guys have, but how can they engage as a community, right? Like, how can Moonbeam community, start to expand to also become a Moonwell community, a Beamswap community, and a Gamma community? So maybe, Jane, you can start with this one, if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, just on the most base level for getting involved, and I will circle back to your aspect, Tiago, but just on the most base level of getting involved in Moonbeam Ignite through Moonwell would be supplying Glimmer, XE XEUSDT, Frax, and the wormhole assets, which is ETH, BTC, and USDC. So suppliers are going to earn or receive interest from borrowers in the underlying token they're supplying, but they're also going to be able to claim Moonbeam Ignite Glimmer and Well, which is the governance token of Moonwell. Beyond that, and I think this is an aspect of working together, or just this is an aspect we haven't really discussed quite yet. But in DeFi, there is the composability aspect. So the way DeFi operates, it's almost like money Legos, right? That build on top of each other, and liquidity in these base DeFi primitives, like DEXs, like Beamswap, or like lending protocols like Moonwell, can actually become liquidity in other projects as well. Kind of a 1 + 1 = 3 situation. And we've seen other projects like Quota and ZooDAO in the past integrate with Moonwell's yield-bearing M tokens, and allowing users of other applications to receive lending interest while using the collateral for other purposes. I bring this up because if you're a builder out there in the space and you think you may want to build on top of Moonwell, I'd encourage you to come to our Discord. We'll leave a link in the chat. It's discord.gg/moonwellfi. We have builder channels. We're happy. We have a great community that's happy to support those that are wanting to build on top of Moonwell. There's also developer grants available to those building on top of Moonwell. And then really to pinpoint on your question here, Tiago, I'm super stoked to get to work with Jay and the Beamswap team and the Gamma team, and Jay specifically. He has this community is King's group, and just his focus on community building it's just fantastic. And I'm super stoked to see what kind of events and what kind of activities we're going to have during the next few weeks of Moonbeam Ignite, and how we can how the Moonwell community can get involved, or maybe a competitive game between the Beamswap and Moonwell communities, or trivia nights, or giveaways, and just kind of cross pollinate our. We each each project has their own communities to some extent, but then there also are already like community members who are active across these different protocols. But I'm just really stoked at the opportunity to get to work with these beautiful people and see our communities grow in tandem.
Yeah, that's really cool. I love the word composability, right? It opens a door, it opens that world of possibilities, and not only in the DeFi space, right? Like with better products in there, but also like in this community engagement, right? Like in this way to build like a stronger community. I feel like this is one of the strengths that we have here in Moonbeam. Not, I think our dApps do a great job with this part of building the community. I guess Beamswap, they definitely have, like, since the beginning, like a very good community, very thrive community here. So maybe Jay, you can just touch points here on your community, and for newcomers, right, people that wants to take advantage of like learning a little bit more about each of the protocols here in our ecosystem. How can they join? How can they be part of this team?
Absolutely. So like I said, we've been very community focused with what we've been doing over at Beamswap since the very early days, and continued to grow. I mean, even during some of the roughest markets, I mean, we're still there. But I mean, at the end of the day, we continue to build our community up, and we continue to educate, and we continue to innovate. And I think that's one of the things that makes not just our platform special, but all the platforms here working in Moonbeam and in Polkadot. And I mean, at the end of the day, too, what's been really great, Tiago, you and I both came from the Moonbeam Ambassadors program, and I think that's one of the things that we have going on that's really, really amazing here in Moonbeam. I think you guys have an amazing ambassadors program, and I commend you guys for what you guys have done there. But for anybody looking to get involved, definitely give us a follow, definitely give us a like. And also, I think one thing I do want to say is, and for everybody here listening in, make sure to give a like and a retweet for this space, just so we can get the word out there about what's going on with Moonbeam Ignite. Really goes a long way. But part of that too is it's not just focusing on just the user itself, but also building those relationships with the community builders and really working on that composability factor that you and Majin have been talking about, and how we can all work together to really make this ecosystem what we know it can be and will be in the future for not just Moonbeam, but for Polkadot as a whole.
That's awesome. And BP, I should say welcome, right? It's your, first 24 hours in Moonbeam going live. And, surely our community is like crazy, to learn more about Gamma, to join your community. Just share a few words. What do you believe like they should do, like to join your channel and, just to celebrate and be part of this thriving community that Gamma has?
Yeah, definitely. Super happy to be here. I think the team, the community, the foundation has been pretty supportive of us overall, and and we're really excited to be on Moonbeam, especially right now. I think I feel like there's just a lot of activity flowing through. As mentioned earlier, the RPCs have started to go down, which is a good and a bad thing. The good thing means it's getting a lot of activity. The bad thing is, of course, it's the new it's getting better, and I think if you guys want to engage with us, definitely our Discord is really where our community members are asking questions, learning more about Gamma. We have a very extensive docs page, docs.gamma.xyz. We have guides on how to provide liquidity, how Gamma all works, and things like that. And if you have any questions on that, feel free to come into our Discord. But yeah, going forward, in terms of like the roadmap, we're building like hedging vaults as well, where we're hedging against impermanent loss, which uses a lot of perpetuals protocols. I know Beamswap's coming is doing BeamX, so we could certainly see how we could potentially integrate there in the future. But those are the main things that we're looking forward to. So yeah, if you guys have any questions on anything, feel free to hop into our Discord. Thanks.
Also, I just wanted to add there, Gamma, I mean, BP, what you guys are doing at Gamma Strategies, we really appreciate it. And also appreciate that you guys are also in our Discord to also help answer some questions for some of our users. So much appreciated what you guys are doing. And
yeah, of course, not a problem.
That's great, guys. That's great. So I'm going to wrap up. I feel like this is a great, first step towards like this 8-week campaign. Just a teaser, I think for next week, we're going to focus on tutorials. We're going to spread the word on how to use each tool and making sure like the community gets more educated about each one of the products that we have here. And just a quick reminder, Moonwell is moonwell.fi, and you can go to their websites where you can, join the Discord, Telegram, and, read the docs. For Beamswap, they have the beamx.exchange and also beamx.io. So beamx.io is the beamx.exchange is the perpetuals, and beamswap.io is the DAX, right? And we have also gamma.xyz. I feel like if you join, if you go to, each of the websites, it's gonna be, you're gonna learn a lot for each one of them. Join the Discord, join the Telegram, and let's be in touch. You can be assured we will be watching closely and helping out, with the tutorials and making sure, our community is engaged, educated. And I love to see, like the energy between the three of you guys. I'm really excited to have you here. So thank you, Jay. Thank you, BP, and thank you, Majin, for your time today.
Awesome.
Yeah,
thank you as well.
Tiago. Thank you. Thank you for hosting this. Do you think we could potentially just give a few closing thoughts before we wrap up here, real briefly?
100%. Yeah, let's do it alphabetical. So Beamswap first. Jay.
Yeah, just wanted to say thank you guys for the amazing Moonbeam community, for the opportunity for us to help usher in a new wave in the DeFi space on Moonbeam and in Polkadot. Looking forward to continue working with the Gamma Strategies, Moonwell, but also looking forward to working with all the other amazing dApps as well as parachains that we can bring to Moonbeam. So thank you, everyone, and just be sure to get involved. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to us in our Discord or Telegram, or reach out to the Moonbeam community. Alrighty, thank you guys.
Yeah, VP.
Yeah, just yeah, glad to be here, and you know, just to reiterate what everybody else says, we're super excited to be part of Moonbeam, especially at this time for Moonbeam Ignite, and yeah, we look forward to, you know, onboarding more liquidity, facilitating more volume trades on the Moonbeam ecosystem, and yeah, as others have mentioned, you know, we're active on Discord, so feel free to check us out there, and yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, Imogen.
Yeah, just 2 minutes. One thing really quickly to circle back to community building and community growth. These Moonbeam Ignite Glimmer grants are basically, you know, on Moonwell, they're being used as rewards for supplying. That makes the supplying rates more attractive. And one other little aspect just on external community growth or reaching out to external communities is that Moonwell has also been activated on Base, which is an Ethereum L2. And when you go to the Moonwell markets page, you can actually see, no matter what network you're connected to, you can see all the markets across networks. So the Moonwell community is excited about the potential for users on Base to potentially see you know, these attractive rates on Moonbeam, and then maybe go explore Moonbeam. Also, that Base deployment is governed by Moonbeam, and if you supply to Moonwell, you're going to receive Well tokens, the governance token, and you can bridge to Moonbeam to actually not only govern the Moonbeam deployment, but that Base deployment as well. So we're excited about that. You know, again, just if you never supplied to a lending and borrowing protocol before, please visit our docs page, docs.moonwell.fi. We have a Moonwell 101 how to supply video that breaks it all down. Please, please, please join our Discord. We have an international group of moderators, over 11 different language channels, 9 moderators that speak 9 different languages. We're here 24/7 to help you on your journey. We also have those builder and developer channels I mentioned, and yeah. Just thank you again, Tiago. Thank you again to the Moonbeam community for supporting this endeavor, and yeah, much appreciated. Super excited.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, guys, and you have a great day, and talk to you guys soon.
Thank you, everyone.
All right, take care.
Thanks, guys.